kind of to add to what you said, James, about like just feeling sad or something like that. I had a pretty like one particular experience I had, which was a whole plant medicine retreat. Not just the substance I was engaging with, but also the people around me and the kind of like intentions we put into it and the kind of container they were creating and the way that they were like there to support you and really what they were encouraging. um, Taught me a lot about that, which was that a lot of what I was doing in my life was like when you have the negative emotion, you suppress it. Like that's how you improve your mood. And that it was like a skill I had to learn, and I've been trying to learn ever since. And I think getting better at it is being able to like stop when you feel that tinge of whatever is frazzling you. Like today for me, it's being stressed because I have to run from one thing to the other, and we're setting up all these things for this, and being able to, instead of just being I'm mad at this thing because it's happening, looking at what's internal and going, oh, okay, I'm feeling anxiety right now. Why am I feeling anxiety? And kind of, yeah, just being better identifying what you're feeling and why you're feeling it and allowing yourself to feel it and think like, okay, it's okay to feel anxious right now. You have some reasons to. Or with the
Mm-hmm.
example of the breakup, like it's okay to feel sad. It's healthy to feel sad. So instead of going, well, I have to push that behind me, like taking a minute to drop everything, both physically and emotionally, and going, okay, I'm going to lay on the couch and just let this emotion wash through me. And often what I found is you actually start to feel better faster because you took your 10 minutes to cry about it instead of spending 6 months just or just indefinitely, like just forever not dealing with that emotion. I don't know if I added to that
Mhm.
in like a clear way, but
No,
Yeah,
that's
I think,
it's a good little addition in my opinion. I mean,
and I imagine this is like pretty common, but there's a lot of crossover, I think, between things like psychedelics, specifically mushrooms, and things like mindfulness in that same way, where it's allowing yourself to feel something, acknowledging that you feel that thing, and then going back to like some sort of like anchor. Like a lot of meditation uses your breath, obviously, but it's yeah. I think it's interesting that there's a lot of crossover between. It's interesting to me. There's a lot of crossover between psychedelics and mindfulness, and I think psychedelics are, I think, a good gateway into that sort of mindfulness practice because it gives you a glimpse. I think it's like a kind of a like a highway to that sort of thing where it's like, okay, I'm on this train now and this is happening to me. Whereas I feel with meditation, you get like little glimpses of that, but it takes a lot of time and effort and work. So I've talked to a few people and that's been their gateway into a more mindful practice, more meditation, that sort of thing. Is they've done sort of some sort of psychedelic, they've experienced this feeling, and then they've somehow come across meditation and been like, oh, this makes me feel the same way. And this is something that I can do in the morning before work.
The feeling of sadness, right? Okay, sadness. But even if conceptually, like in my mind, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to let myself feel sad. I don't know if any of you have experienced this where you're like, yeah, I'm going to let myself feel sad. And as soon as you do that, it's like the sadness is gone. I don't know if you've had an experience where you felt tears coming up and you're like, yeah, this is good. I'm going to let myself cry. But you can't. Your body just shuts it down. Your nervous system just shuts it down. Like, whoop, you're like, oh, I want to be able to, but I'm stuck here. That the thing with psilocybin is that part of you that is clamping down, that sort of automatic defensiveness, the automatic self-protection from feelings that are not okay, that you don't like, that we've been taught are bad and wrong, which is anything that, increasingly less, but, sad, you want to get away from sadness as quickly as possible. You want to get through, you want sadness to go away. That's what sadness is for. Sadness is to make it go away, kind of thing. It's hard to get out of that. And psilocybin can break those walls down so it just comes out of you. You don't have to try. It's just there. You just either let it happen or you don't. And if you don't, it feels horrible, way worse. It's anxiety and it's stress and it's bad trip eventually, if it's too much. But it can just come out of you. And then there's the context of feeling also connected with things beyond yourself, and that your sadness, it coming through you, is also connected. And this is something that's important to speak to, because when you say meditation, I love the metaphor, something like meditation is like getting your pilot's license, and psychedelics are like flying a plane. You certainly don't need your license to try to fly the plane, but it does help. And it's entirely possible. We've been talking positively about psychedelics. It's entirely possible to hurt yourself. It's entirely possible to take too much, to take it in the wrong context with the wrong people or the wrong lack of people, and end up having an experience that is just too much, too soon, too fast. Because we're talking about sadness and connecting with the force and all the rest, but there's also the possibility of just feeling like trapped in an infinite loop of lost and alone and hell with no escape, and there are demons coming at you and aliens trying to fuck your brain and stuff, and you're just full of anxiety. You can go into that place too, right? And so in the conversations we're having about the positive effects of psychedelics, it's also incredibly important still to keep in mind that they are they're extremely powerful, and they can be, in the right doses, used as playthings, and they can be fantastic as playthings, as I can attest to, and Josh, you could probably also attest to. And yeah, and they can also cause quite a hard time, and especially when you're using them without the recognition that they can be difficult. That can set up for a hard time, because then when it starts getting a hard time, you're like, oh shit, this isn't supposed to happen. This is supposed to be fun, and there's the anxiety. Or you're like, yeah, mushrooms are good for me. I'm going to use them to heal my depression. I'm just going to go out into the woods and I'm just going to eat like 5 grams, just like Terrence McKenna said. And that's just going to heal my depression, because that's what the science says, right? But then you end up freaking out, and, it doesn't end up being positive. So it's not all good here, but there's a lot of good that can come from it. So I wanted to add that little caveat in too.